All right, good evening. My name is Alex Zuzek, and this is a video about the list group label strategy as a method to help our students in their pre-reading. And the prior knowledge students might need for this, they're going to want to know how to brainstorm. That's not very hard to explain though, so even if they weren't sure, which I think odds are they would, but if they weren't, it's not too hard to explain. You could do an example quick, help them through it. Other prior knowledge, other than not really much. And for the group, um, for the age, I was thinking this would work really well in younger high school because it's kind of an in-between phase, maybe like ninth grade, 10th grade, because it's a little in between being older, like a junior or senior, and you're also more mature than a middle schooler. So the reasons I think that helps is that it helps them to form a little bit more complex lists, and I think maybe in middle school this would be kind of tough. Maybe it would be hard for people to work together on something like this. But I think it would definitely be able to be worked out for younger ages as well as older ages. Okay, so this group label, it's a vocabulary strategy that engages students in a three-step process to actively organize their understanding of content area and vocab concepts. And it also provides students a way to recognize relationships between words and their concepts. And this helps them build on their prior knowledge, which helps them to gain more knowledge in the end. And what's cool is that this can be used both before and after students read, and even throughout. So the list you could first create before students read about a certain topic or theme that's coming up in whatever chapter you're going to read or whatever reading you're going to do. And that could go across discipline for sure. Like it wouldn't just apply in English or science. This could easily work for English, science, social studies, anything like that. So, yeah. So what happens is first you have students list. This is done individually. So they list all the words they think are connected. So say that the concept was the Revolutionary War. So students would make lists that would brainstorm every word they think connects to the Revolutionary War. Say like you wanted to do it for before you read a chapter of the textbook, and the Revolutionary War is the topic. So then, yep, they brainstorm, and they'd probably come up with things like George Washington, founding fathers, King George, England, 13 colonies, 1776, Declaration of Independence, anything like that. They would probably come up with stuff under that realm. Okay? And once you have them come up with these lists, then it's really important to display these student lists around the classroom somehow. So maybe have them go set them up by like the chalkboard or tape them up on the whiteboard or on the wall just so that everyone can see them. So then you have people take some time and look around at them. And what you do not want to do at this point is critique student responses. There's going to be a very broad range. And there will definitely be a lot of misconceptions. But that's okay because as we move through the grouping and the labeling parts, and as they grew throughout the chapter or the reading, they would really come to see that it is, they would come to realize their own misconceptions. And as the list can be edited throughout, they would end up being able to change it throughout and get rid of words on their lists or change words and move them into different groups. So that's a great segue into section 2, which is grouping. So your class gets into small groups, 2 students, 3 students. Each group then works to cluster the class lists of words into subcategories. And as the group's words emerge, challenge your students to explain their reasoning. So, and say it was a group of 2, and they put like there's one category that's like reasons for the start of the Revolutionary War. You want to ask them why they decided to create that category. And then third, they label And this is kind of where they'd come up with the like causes of the war or whatever could be their title. So this is where the students obviously label these categories and they give them titles. And that's kind of cool because it shows that they're analyzing a little bit how it fits together, and that's sometimes overlooked in something like this. It seems so simple, but that's kind of the beauty of it, is that it is so simple. And a couple of notes then. After labeling, like the process is done for that day, then you can bring it back in for later in the unit, later after the reading, if it was just like a short reading and it was all just that in one day. This is a pretty versatile way to have your students pre-read and grow on prior knowledge. And they should really focus when you have them return on it, is maybe they should really focus on moving words into different columns, maybe based on their misconceptions that they now realize, or even completely erasing words. Like, say for the American Revolution, in a category they put the word emancipation, which doesn't really tie to the American Revolution. It ties a lot more to the Civil War. So through reading, they would realize that, and they'd be able to remove it themselves, and maybe at the end or whatever, you could help them if they still needed it with that. But tell students not to be too liberal with discarding, because a lot of times things can tie together, and you can help to make them realize this, and you don't want them to accidentally get rid of a word that ends up maybe being important or helping them learn in one way or another. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.